Good evening, all. Myself, Abhiya Matthew, co-founder of UpGrow Life Skill Learning Center. A warm welcome to all of you to today's webinar. Before we start, I would like to give you a quick introduction about UpGrow. So basically, our mission is to empower children, youth, and communities through structured learning, psychosocial support, and holistic development. We specialize in skill-based training, personal development workshops, counseling services, capacity building workshops, etc. We also provide internship opportunities for social work students. Beyond this training and counseling services, our work extends to PRA, impact assessment, research studies, teachers training, parents training, students training, college and school based awareness programs, and more. So, coming to today's webinar, I'm so happy to welcome our distinguished guest, speaker Ms. Rajeemol T.R, who is a PhD scholar in Department of Social Work from Rajagiri College of Social Science Autonomous. She was an assistant professor in St. Albert's College. We are so excited to learn from your expertise, ma'am. And once again, I welcome all of you to today's webinar. Before we start, please make sure that your mic is muted. And if you have any questions, you can drop that in the chat box. We can conduct a Q&A session after the webinar. So once again, welcome and let's begin.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So I'm Rajeemol T.R, a PhD scholar. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay, I am Rajeemol T.R. I am a PhD scholar in social work. And as Abhiya rightly pointed out, I was a earlier faculty member in the Department of Social Work in St. Albert's College, Ernakulam. So before jumping into my session, I just wanted to talk about my research, because my research has a deep connection with what I am taking what I am talking about today. Because my research is on community engagement, where I explore how much the students and teachers are connected with people or connected with the realities of the world. So from that, to be honestly, when I was first invited to take a session for the student community, I was having a mixed feeling to connect this particular concept to what deliverable to you, to the external recipients. And experiential learning is that's something that is seen as a very theory driven concept, right? Which doesn't offer that instant deliverable or tangible benefits and all. So it's basically an ideological shift. So why I had this mixed feeling is that when I chose this subject, I was very much skeptical or judgmental with regards to the number of participants, because many a times we overlook the success of webinar based on the number of participants or the diversity of participants that you will get. And I was a bit reluctant or judgmental in that aspect. But when I saw the response, especially joined from Kerala, not only Kerala but across India, I feel encouraged. And I felt that, yeah, this conversation is something that is worth having, because this is something, the whole session is talking about an ideological shift that is necessary for the upcoming future. So thank you so much to each and every one for being here today. I know there are students from other PhD scholars and teachers from other disciplines also. My session was tailored with social work in mind, but I'll do my best to make it meaningful to everyone. So can I know, except students, how many teachers are here? Okay, good, great. Research scholars? And non-Keralites or non-Malayalis? teachers here, your experience and expertise in this area is invaluable. So please feel free to share this during my session or at the end of my session, because let's make the space as a knowledge sharing space rather than I stand in a dominating space and talking to you and delivering what I have in my hand. But rather than that, we can have a discussion or foster a discussion on experiential learning. Okay, I hope everyone are okay with that. So I just want, I'll take a few minutes of you in the initial section. I'm just asking you to think about a recent experience. That can be a work experience or personal life experience, or something that you learned by attending an academic session or something that was very much meaningful to you, that given a strike to your head, or something that given an opportunity that is challenging. So there are two options, that is challenging. Either that experience was a challenging one, or it can be a meaningful one. So just take a few moment to reflect on a recent experience that you had. I hope you are thinking about that. So I'm asking you a few questions, like, why do you still remember that experience? The first question. Why do you still remember that experience? Something is there, no? Something that felt during that experience. So something that offered a new insight, or a relearning, or an unlearning happened. That's why you are still remembering that experience. So you will be definitely, so since it happened a few time later, the recall power can be different. But at times, that experience will be useful to you, right? So today we are taking, or we are talking about that sort of a learning process, which is called experiential learning. So experiential learning, so as the name suggests, experience and learning. So you experience something and then you learn something. And we will, over through the sessions, we'll look like how it will help you to build your interest, build your skills, even, shape your career, or how institutionally we can implement it. So when I speak about all these things, you feel like, yeah, this is something that we can relate to. There are not something big in it, but what we need is a revisit, a constant revisit on this ideology. So in order to understand what is experiential learning, can you please play the next slide? Thank you. So in order to understand what is experiential learning, we have to look into certain theoretical aspects. So the basic theoretical aspect is said by John Dewey. So he said that, experience is the best teacher. He said that experience is a best teacher. So what does that mean? Like, through his books like, Experience and Education, How We Think, which he was written in like in 1910, he spoke like experience is very important in life, not in educational space as it is very important in life. Now in that also he gave a warning that not all experiences are educative. Not all experiences are educative. Now, what makes that different, or what does that mean? It means that, simply you are getting an experience is not enough to have an experiential learning. For that, you need to look into, or you get an experience, you need to look into, or you have to think about it, you have to reflect on it, and you have to understand the meaning of it. So you have to think, reflect, and connect it what we have already have. That is what makes a normal experience different from experiential learning activity. That makes any learning methodology different from experiential learning. I hope it is clear. Okay. Now, the other aspect of experience, when you look into the theories of experiential learning, one of the important core concrete idea was put forward by David Goldman. So he said a four-stage cycle of experiential learning. Four-stage cycle, right? The first thing is the experience itself. You have an experience. Now that experience can be your, personal, something that you did, or something that you observed. You were simply sitting and observing something. So that all these accounts as an experience. Now the second thing, you are going to reflect on it. You are going to reflect on it. How can we do the reflection process? Like, you think, what, why is it happened? What are the, you think critically on the experience that you had. Now, the fourth stage of that cycle is the conceptualization. You link that to your prior learning. You link that to your prior learning. Finally, you apply that to what you have learned here, or what you have learned, you applied it in a new situation. Many of the social work trainees, during their field work, you can experience, you really have that experience, right? You experience something while you do your report writing. You experience something, you did your thinking process, and you conceptualize it. Either you link it to a theory or a prior experiences, and then next time you apply that into a new situation. So this is a cycle which is called experiential learning cycle. In that case, so before randomly understanding this theoretical concept, I'll just give an example of my recent experience. I was a facilitator of a experiential learning activity. I was, as I have mentioned, I was a faculty member in St. Albert's College. So we were, religiously we are doing a program, an innovative program called a Meaningful Day in Kochi program, which is a one-day intensive fieldwork activity. So this time we applied an innovative methodology where we asked the students to take pictures and come back, something that struck you, and come back and talk about it. So can you just play the next slide? So this is not the exact picture, to be honestly. I tried to get that picture because this reflection really helped me, or really struck in my head. This is not the exact picture what the student took, but this is a similar picture that I took from the internet. So she just projected this picture and told that, ma'am, when I was going through during the fieldwork process, I was going through the board. I saw this, and I thought initially I clicked this because initially I thought it was polluting the water. Now I was so curious about it, so I went through some internet searches, and I found that this is a process called dredging, which is actually a process to clear the waterways. Somebody said hello. Okay. Yeah. So that is to clear the waterways. So she said initially I thought it is polluting the river, but through her search and all, she found that it was actually a different process. Let's decode it in experiential learning cycle. What happened here actually? She saw something, that is her experience. Now she questioned it. She was looking at what is it, happening. She did her reflection, and then what she did, she researched about it. That is conceptualization. She linked it into some theories, or she found that this is a process called dredging that helped to clear the waterways. I don't know whether she will do the application process, but I just want you to think that instead of hearing a lecture on dredging, I believe this process will be a core memory in her head, because she was continuously engaging in the learning process, which made that learning process a meaningful one. So So rather than hearing a process of dredging, she visually saw it, she thought it, she learned it by herself, and then in her future, I don't know whether she is going to apply or how she is going to apply this learning, but then I'm telling you, this will be there in her head. So this is how the experiential learning cycle works. So there are another philosophers or researchers like Donald Shawn. Can you please change the cycle? They all highlighted the power of reflection in the experiential learning process. So I hope it is clear that what makes a learning process different from experiential learning, it is the constant reflection, or it is the constant thinking, learning, understanding, reflecting, finding. All these processes make what experiential learning is different from any other learning approaches. I hope it is clear. Now he highlighted, so this Donald Shawn highlighted the importance of reflection, power of reflection. So he said that after so many time, after so many times of experiences, or so many number of encounters with the experiential learning, you will reach to a certain point where you will be continuously reflecting while you do the activity. This is what happens in your field work. The first semester, you will be like, you always think like reflection is something that should be happen after an incident done. So this is what happened in the first year of your semester. But later to the third and fourth semester, you could able to realize that when a problem or when a client comes, you could able to simultaneously analyze or experience, or be with him or her, and you can do the assessment, you can do the things, and you can provide solutions. So that is how the power of reflection or the strength of reflection transforms over the time you experience something. Okay, so there are so many scholars talks about the power of reflection, and they argue, or they clearly say that students must critically reflect not only what they learned, but also how they learn. It's all about like, I learned it, rather than that, how am I learning it? See, we all are peculiar individuals, unique individuals. Your way of learning might be different from my way of learning. Your strength and my strength are different. So it is a process where you can identify your weaknesses, your strength, whereby you can enhance the knowledge gathering process. Right. So as I have mentioned in this slide, it is a very dynamic, immersive approach which is used in education that goes beyond the traditional learning or classroom instruction, where we flood the students with the real-world experiences or hands-on activities and reflections. Now, why it is important? Why experiential learning is very much relevant? So as I have already mentioned, or as you all know, that this is a very fast changing world, and we all are learning something, or we all are earning degrees, definitely for knowledge gathering, but I am keeping the practical aspect along with that to get an employment, right? Now, I learned so many things in the classroom, like I studied administration, I studied HRM, I studied casework, group work. But what does really the world needs or world want is that actually, can you apply what you have learned? Can you apply what you really learned in your classroom? Or can you work with people? That is what the other side of the people who are giving you jobs really look into, whether you can work in an environment, whether you can adapt to a new learning, a new work culture. Can you work with people? Can you apply what you learned? Can you adapt to some, can you adapt when things happen unexpectedly or some challenges comes to your life? So these are all something that, just think like whether it we learned it. We learned it in the classroom. No, it is through our teamwork, it is through our, group discussions, it is through our group seminars. Many such learning pedagogies equipped ourselves to answer these questions, right? So the traditional learning methodologies, like, our educational pattern is in such a way that it gives so much of an importance to memorization and rote learning and all those things help us to pass the examination. But to what extent it is preparing us to face the real world situations, right? Real world challenges. So there comes the importance of experiential learning, because experiential learning is more than just information. It will give you, or it allows you to engage with the real world problems or real world situations, and critically thinking, help us to critically think and come up with a meaningful situation. Can I go to the next slide, please? As a student, why it is matter to you? This is called the retention of learning pyramid. So now let us, this simple powerful, this is a very simple diagram, but yet it is a very powerful diagram. This is called the knowledge retention pyramid. This pyramid shows us that how much we actually remember from the different type of learning activity. So at the bottom you can see, like, less than 20%. What is that? So it shows that the retention here is less than 20%. That means what you hear from the lectures fades if you don't apply it. But as we move towards the upward pyramid, you can see that 20 to 75%. That means participation based class learning methodologies like discussions, exercises, demonstrations. So that sort of experiential learning activities helps our retention to jump to a 20 to 70%. But you can see the top of the pyramid, right? In the top of the pyramid, this shows more than 75%. That is learning by doing activities. Like, working along with your mentor, or working along with your teacher for something, or, immediately practicing it, or, doing something that you learned, or the hands-on experiences. These type of exposures help us to retain the learned things to a 75%. So why it is important as a student to you? What you are learning is actually for you to keep it till your death, or keep it till you have memory, or it is to apply that constantly in your field of action. So why in social work, why we emphasize on field work? Because field work is not something that is actually part of a curriculum. It is a structured process which offers experiences, opportunities of reflection, and gives an opportunity to develop yourself by yourself. Okay, so in another aspect, why it is important as a student, why it is important for a student. Can you go on to the next slide, please? So it will help you to discover your career decisions, or it will help you to explore your interest and passion. So as I mentioned, I was a teacher. Many a times when students get back to me and says that, ma'am, I chose this career because I felt at that moment, I felt it was my gut feeling, I thought it would suit me, or sometimes I just didn't have a plan to take something. But later on they admit that sometimes I really struggle now because this path doesn't feel right for me, or it doesn't match my skill set. I'm not okay with this job. So yes, that itself is an experience. But now imagine this: what if you had a real experiences or a hands-on exposure to the gut feeling or to the interest areas that you were so much interested in before making that decision? So for us, in our life, time is very important. So that time lag or the time gap, or we say the career gap, can be, can be reduced, as well as to give chance for you to be in a position that really excites you, that your skill set matches. So it gives a chance you to explore, try. So what I was trying to tell is that if you had an experience on that gut feeling, or if you had an experience on what you're really interested in, gives a chance for you to explore, right? Explore, reflect, and try, so that you can make career decision not because of a guesswork or just randomly, but actually a real understanding on yourself and your abilities. But this does have a condition. Okay, you should reflect. You join a job, you find it difficult, that's fine. But when you give an early exposure in your life, you should constantly reflect: is this matching for me? What I find difficult to this, or why I am not good at this? Is there any opportunity for me to upgrade my skills in that lacking? So these are all something. So that condition is that you should constantly reflect on that learning experience. Does this align with my skill set? Does this excites me as a person? Does this matches to the kind of the person that I am? So this kind of reflection that makes the learning powerful and help you to give a better career decisions in your life. And yes, it will build real life skills, real life skills, or it will help us to enhance our employability. So in this picture you see that this is the drivers of change. So this is published by the Institute for the Future. It has identified key key drivers of change key drivers of change that will shape our workplace in the next decade. So they are expecting, like, how the next workplace setup looks like, what are the drivers for the next workplace, and what are the skills required as a person to survive in that environment. So this let's look into these key drivers, like, so they want people, extreme longevity means they want people who are ardent learners, lifelong learners. And there will be a situation where there will be rise of smart machines and systems, like, there will be automation, there will be something that is beyond my understanding also. Okay, automations, AI, change, all these things. And also there is a computational world that will be driven by data, algorithms, and all. And also there is a new media ecology, like, as after the COVID, we always say there is a post-COVID era, where there is the communication patterns, learning environments, everything has changed. Likewise, there is a draft shift is going to happen. And also the superstructured organization, where in COVID, before COVID, everyone has to come to the workplace and do something, right? Now the working environment and culture has changed. There is a scope for us to work from our home. So it becoming more networked and flexible and all these things. And also globally connected world. The globe, or I am from Kerala, I can connect with someone who is in Chile, talk about my research. So the world is connected now. So these are the drivers of change that is going to happen, or that is the wave that is going to happen. But this demands a new set of workforce skills. We all heard about the 21st century skills, like, critical thinking, creativity, all these things. Along with that, they also propose some new set of workforce skills that we need. So that is given in the right side: required workforces. What kind of people, what kind of employee you want? I want an employee in the next decade or in the next upcoming time. I want employee who should extract meaning from complex information, because there are a lot of information overloading happening, right? So I want employees who can make sense of complex information, that is sense making. I want employees who are able to understand, interact effectively with people, because we are so much into mobiles, we are so much into virtual, all these things. So you want people with who can actually talk with people, interact with people, that is social intelligence. You need novel and adaptive thinkers, creative, flexible problem solvers, all these things. You need to have people who can able to work with a diverse background. You need to have people who can use data and technology efficiently, that is computational thinking. New media literacy, that means the getting adapted with the digital tools, the updations, latest updations and all. Transdisciplinarity, that is very important, like integrating your knowledge across the discipline, not just I'm from social work background, I'll be sticking on to social work. No, your social work knowledge can really work with some other discipline. So that transdisciplinarity. So in order to work with that environment, you need to have a collaborative learning mentality, you need to have an effective communication skill, and all these things. And design mindset, people needs innovation rather than working with the already existing things. People really look upon innovations. It's clearly emphasized in our NEP, it is clearly emphasized in the UGC guidelines on fostering community engagement aspect. The social innovation is very important. Cognitive load mind, what is it? Sorry, cognitive load management, what is it? We are surrounded with information, right? You can go to GenAI, ChatGPT, Wikipedia, so much informations are there. So how can we handle this overload of information? That is a skill. So that is what is called cognitive load management. Virtual collaboration, how effectively you can work with online environment where there is no reciprocity on the other side. So these are all some of the required workforce skill. And so what does this mean? That as a student to thrive in the future, you need to learn, or you need to have learning experiences that beyond the theories. And experiential learning is an opportunity, or it's a platform you to build these skills, because you practice it. How you practice is very important, how you choose the opportunities is very important. So that's why I'm telling you that experiential learning is not an option anymore. It is actually an essential thing. Now, so the result of this particular research said that in order to succeed yourself in the next upcoming generation, we need to be able to navigate rapidly through the landscape. We need to critically reflect. You need to flood yourself with the multiple situations, and which can be structured or unstructured, but you have to flood yourself with experiences. Simply sitting in the class or simply sitting in with the books, yes, it definitely offers so many things, especially definitely, but beyond that is very important. So that is some of the importance of experiential learning as offers to you, I mean the student community. Now, how it is important, or how it is important for teachers and the educational institutions. Can you please play the next slide? So our NEP, we are talking about a lot of NEP, right? NEP says that education should be holistic. It should provoke our cognitive, psychomotor, all these things, right? So NEP highlights the education's quality of holistic, inclusive, and experiential component. Experiential component is something that is highlighted in the NEP. So what NEP talks about experiential learning is that Yeah. What NEP talks about experiential learning is that it is a series of unique multidisciplinary work experience that challenges the students to generate innovative solutions to the complex problems. You are flooded with a lot of multidisciplinary work experiences, so that you face challenges and you come up with the solution. So I am telling you because students are very important in experiential learning. Student is the central point in experiential learning. Okay, so what I was telling is that, the experiential learning component has got a lot of has been emphasized a lot in our NEP, and it is there are measures, or there are changes in the education arena to foster experiential learning opportunities in the upcoming times. Now, there are researchers clearly tells that institute there it has got significant impact in the student recruitment, retention, and completion rate. So when you choose, or when you are seriously in your learning process, definitely you will look into colleges, right? So if some colleges offers wide range of experiential opportunities, for example, one sort of an experiential strategy is student exchange programs. So you found that one particular institution has got good tie up with different um, global colleges. So you choose that, right? You will definitely go and pick that college because it offers opportunities of experiential learning. So that will definitely influence the student recruitment process and student retention process, and also completion rate. Now, there are studies told, or studies said that conventional teaching pattern, like the lecturing method, often fails to build the reflective practices, but we can adopt certain indirect experiential learning activities or experiential learning strategies within our classroom to foster the experiential opportunities for the students. And definitely at an institutional level, it will help for the faculty growth. It will help for the faculty growth and teaching effectiveness, because along with students, teachers are also evolving. So when students are flooded and guided with the opportunities of experiential learning, it will indirectly benefits the teachers. Okay, now can you please change to the next slide? So what are the different types of, we were talking about some theories, some kind of benefits and all, and let's look into how that actually happens in the classroom. I just mentioned few of the strategies in the educational spaces, like role play and simulations are one such. There are, as I mentioned you, there are direct experiential learning opportunities and indirect learning opportunities, because many a times when I deal with the challenges of experiential learning activity, I can clearly say that there are a lot of challenges, and one such challenges is the resource, time, all these things. So there are indirect experiential learning practices or strategies that as a teacher you can adopt in the educational spaces to have a minimal or moderate level of experiential learning to the children. One such activity is the role play and simulation. So role play, as you all know, you are being thrown to a scenario where there will be, you have to play different roles and characters, where you apply your creativity and your perspectives add on. But with that, simulations are more structured one. You give a clear-cut instructions and then you have to act on it. So both these simulations and role plays are something which will foster problem solving, which will foster the critical thinking, and also students can apply what they have learned in that learning process. So in in coming to the social work discipline, you can apply all these aspects in the, teaching casework, group work, even in the community, or the role play can be happen to, you know teach the models of community organizations. So that is one type of a strategy that really help teachers um, to apply it in the classroom. Next one is flooding with the case studies. Case study is also an inexpensive, less resource needed activity, where students are brought to real world experience or real cases, where students can analyze, debate, or coupling the case studies with a debate or other innovative activity based reflections, can also help students to think, to act, and to communicate, to have a collaborative learning. All these can happen through case studies. Now, project based learning and internships are, most of you are familiar with, right? So internship is a mandatory, sometimes it is a mandatory experiential learning activity designed in the course itself. But what I really wanted to tell the students, that please take your internship as a very serious process, because carefully select your internships, because it really guide you, or it will be creating a pathway for you to place yourself in next 10 to 20 years later. So internship is a very structured, very crucial learning, direct experiential learning activity, which can help which can help you to have experiences in the real world, or hands-on experiences. Project based learning, here also it's similar to that of internships, or internships or industry collaborations. But the thing is that project based learning, many a times it is not a strict thing, so students skip that. Let me tell you that grab every opportunities comes to you, whether it is in a collaboration, or whether it is a opportunity to work in a research project, or whether that is a new learning experience, whether that is accompanying or supporting your mentor or your teacher. So all these things you have to mindfully select and apply that. Also, students or teachers can really give opportunities, such kind of opportunities, to the students also. Now, the other aspect is technology integration and visual stimulation. This is a very high end. So it's not a high end because the technology has transformed our learning spaces in such a way that it gave lot of things, like from whiteboard to apps to virtual learning lab to all these things. You can also practice your skill set in the technological level also. For example, when I was a teacher, when I was a faculty there, we used to record every presentations, every fieldwork presentations of the students, so that we can see the change after the 2 years, or we'll give that to the students so that they can reflect on their body language, their problems with their pronunciation, problems with their presentation skills. So from simply applying that sort of approach in the teaching, to taking them to a level of AI simulations. Now we all know that there is chat GPTs, there are a lot of AI chatbots, where you can actually create prompts and make the children work in a real world situation. And also, interestingly, when I researched on this area, I could able to understand that, virtual reality is also something that is well explored in the area of experiential learning, where the virtual reality, where students, especially in the field of robotics, especially in the field of defense training and all, virtual reality is something that is very much used to give students a real world situation, um, which are all high end experiential learning practices. So the other types are like field visits, journaling and reflections. So from my experience, even though when I was a student, I still remember my guide, my research guide, who was my teacher then. I still remember he used to tell that keep a diary with you, keep a diary and journal about your professional experiences. That will really gonna help you, like journal everything you do. So that is a very simple way of applying experiential learning in your personal and professional level. So that is journaling and reflective experiences, and also field visits, volunteering. So volunteering is a very powerful way of having an experiential learning, because volunteering is something that will be closely associated with our passion and interest also. So having an experience prior to you getting graduated, so that really adds on to your credibility or to your quality. So that is another thing. And service learning is a very famous pedagogical approach which uses service as well as learning. So students are flooded with service experiences. For example, in Kerala we have for example, in the outreach activities that a department undertake, the extension activity that a department undertake, where students are given credit and let them experiences or serve the people and understand the real world condition, which will really help them to build their empathy, their social responsibility. Because many a times in the four wall and your family is something that you are confronted with, not the other part. So these kind of service learning activities really help us to build so many skills that are not known to us. So sometimes the best learning will happen outside the classroom. Now, reflection, journaling, and then what? Creative group work and hands-on activities are some sort of an experiential strategies that you can apply in the learning spaces. Now, when I talk about experiential learning provides this much of benefits, I should also talk about the challenges, right? So can we go to the next slide? It's it, Literature says that it is a very traditionally very old methodology. We have applied this a lot in our you know in our earlier times. That's what the literature says. But still we have a lot of challenges in implementing the experiential learning activities in our Indian higher education systems, because many a times we are not embedded ourselves with the concept of, many a times we hesitant to change, or we have that sort of a hesitance to change. And the challenges here that I depicted in the slides are layered and interconnected. They are one way or the other, they connected to each other. First thing, I think the challenge part the teachers can relate a lot, right? So the academic overload. So balancing an experiential learning activity with a heavy academic requirement is a huge challenge. I admit the fact that, because I was also a faculty. So as faculties, you are expected to cover vast syllabi with a very limited time and prepare students for the exams, because our structures are very much rigid and structured. So this gives an extra overload to the ones who really wanted to make a change in the field, right? So researchers are also says that without proper integration, experiential learning becomes a risk as well as an extra task. So that is one of the major challenge that as institutions or as faculties that we face when we really wanted to apply experiential learning activities. The next thing is the curriculum constraints, because our traditional academic framework, we always prioritize content coverage, right? We need to teach them that, we need to teach them this, we need to teach them models, we need to teach them principles, theories, all these things, right? And we have a standardized testing pattern to grade the students. So this rigidity is also rigidity, time, strict semester schedules, all these are some of the impeding factors that restricts experiential learning to be applicable in our daily learning environment. And also sometimes I feel that the accreditations were giving more importance to the number, the quantity, rather than the quality, measuring everything. That also is an impeding factor. Next thing is the resource constraint. As I have mentioned you, many of the institutions lack necessary resources. So we see that a lot of self-financing institutions are coming up, and there are already existing institutions are there, but then funding is very important when it comes to applying, when it comes to backing up the experiential learning activity, especially for field visit, for creating labs, or creating infrastructure to support the experiential learning. This makes it really difficult. And also what I feel is that the traditional academic structures, many a times our teaching patterns are similar. We are shifting from a lecture dominated model to a reflective, creative environment, which is actually a huge process. So there will be resistance from the part of the administrators or the institution as such. Many a times there will be resistance. So there is multiple resistance will be there from the institution, from the administrators, from the faculty, even from the students also. They think that, no, why I am doing all these things. Many a times as faculties I have experienced that why we are learning, we are supposed to learn this in the syllabus, why we have given this opportunity. So at that point of time, it is our responsibility as faculties to make them persuade or make them understand what it is. And sometimes faculty readiness, right? It's very, one thing is that they don't have time, they are flooded with so many things. The second thing is they are not trained in such a way that they are not equipped enough to facilitate the experiential learning activity. That needs institutional support and capacity building. So these are some of the challenges. These are not the entire challenges, but these are some of the challenges which I can account in the 1 hour session. So these are some of the challenges that we overlook on experiential learning practices. So can we move on to the next slide? So there are challenges. How can we change these challenges into opportunities? How can we create a space for experiential learning activity where the initial few points are visionary, which takes a lot of shifts in the ideologies, policies and all. But I'm just jotting down that we need a very ideological shift, because implementing this approach is not just about adding activities or giving overload, but because it is an ideological shift, like how we consider the teaching process, or how we consider learning experience. Was it just for merely for a grade or something, or something that is a meaningful process? So that ideological shift is very much important when it comes to experiential learnings. And in institutionally, I said this is this is visionary, this is very, maybe in future, especially by the implementations of NEP and all, it will happen. But there are few points that I really want to, jot on, is that the institutionally, curriculum redesign, this gives an idea, like, how much freedom an institution gets to think about the redesigning process. But if there are opportunities exist, you can embed experiential learning components in the, can be considered as a priority, or it can be considered as a part of vision, not a vision that simply existing in the line. That's something that is meaningfully done in the field. Now the second one is, give ample trainings to the teachers, because many a times teaching is something that that needs constant upgradation, and mindfully implementing the faculty development programs that gives opportunities, like, what I've said, technologically supported simulation environment. I've seen a concept like that, I'll talk about it later. And all the faculty development programs can also help the teachers to equip skills and, things to deal with the students. Now stakeholder engagement, what I said in the earlier, how much we can provide an opportunity to the students. For that, stakeholder engagement or collaborations, networking, MOUs are very much important for institutions. And also, how much innovatively you can adapt to the learning environment is also a part of strategies to adopt experiential learning. Can we go to the next slide? As a teacher, as we mentioned a lot of challenges, right? As teachers, how can we integrate the concept of experiential learning within all these problems, existing problems? How can we implement that in the learning spaces? As I already said, this is a mind shift, like, teaching teacher centric to a student centric perspective shift that should happen as a faculty. I should persuade myself, or I should tell myself that, okay, this is what I am going to do. Or rather than directors or delivering something, I'll be guiding my students to take ownership of their learning. I know this is a very, very challenging aspect. This is a very challenging decision that as a faculty you should take. But how can we make it very, very simple, or how can we make it more practical? The important aspect is the planning aspect. When you prepare a lesson plan, when you prepare a lesson plan, then how meaningfully you can integrate the strategies that I have mentioned earlier, the role plays, the simulations, or even the cases. So rather than lecturing, give a case and then discuss about it, or clubbing that with another activity based learning, like debates. Now the third is that learning to the student life. So it will, every experiential learning activity become more impactful when you think about, or when you connect it with your personal meanings. So give, after every activity, give a space for them to reflect on it, or give a space for them to talk about it. Now allow them to share their experiences and all these things. Now empowering the students to explore, like,
ഹലോ എന്താടി
give them opportunity to do
അവന്റെ
experiments, like,
അമലില്ല ഇവിടെ, അവന്റെ ഫോണിൽ
എന്താ
വിളിക്കല്ലേ,
പറയാ,
ഞാൻ റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്തോണ്ടിരിക്കുക.
giving them new innovative methodologies. So one such, so I just want to mention about a learning activity that we have done recently, is that we try to implement digital tools for the reflection process. So we gave them a training, the MSW students, and we we allowed them to use I can't really explain that entire thing because it is a research that we have done, so it is very confidential. But then I'm telling you innovative learning teaching methodologies that you can adopt. For that, I can share you one link. That this is a link of my recent publication. Where is the chat box? Sorry. Okay, I think. How can I find? Sorry, I'll just give the link of the recent publication, which is an innovative learning experiential learning methodology that we as faculties did in the MSW program to and got published in Scopus as well as Web of Science indexed journal. So that program was nothing but, as I hope many of the students are from social work background and many of the teachers are from social work background. So for MSW courses, we don't need BSW degrees. We just need any degrees to join MSW courses. This, as faculties, this created a lot of reflections as educators when I was working as a faculty. So we thought of an innovative learning pedagogical aspect where to shift the students' attitudes, we just not gave them not the what to say this slow learning thing. We flooded them with a 1-day 12-hour program where we flooded them with different tasks of observations in and around the city of Kerala. The students should start from the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and after that they have given with a guided reflection. It's not just a reflection, it is a guided reflective framework, and they have to write what they have experienced through the entire program, which we termed that as a RASL framework, that is a rapid social immersive learning framework, which we have got published in the Scopus and Web of Science. So what I was trying to tell is that we had a need, there are so many students from different backgrounds are coming to MSW courses, which really has got we have to take extra effort to orient them, change an attitude, create them foster their compassion, all these things. So this triggered us to develop a innovative learning pedagogy where we implemented it for the past 4 years. So what I was telling is that we let the students to go and observe. So that means you empower the students to observe and experiment and make decisions. And okay, it's okay to get failed, and it's okay to have mistakes, and guide them in such a manner that they'll come back to you again and again. And also, as I already mentioned, this attitudinal shift, that resistance will come from the students also. For that, what we can do, we can clarify their roles and we can provide them with proper resources. See, this is a learning activity that will have this component. Now you should take a lead. Now these are the guidance that I'm going to give you, and these are the resources. So clearly communicating that will definitely will reduce the future chaos in between. And also what I've mentioned is the innovative training, innovative teaching pedagogies, and the training of the teachers. So can we go to the next slide? So we have discussed about institution, we discussed about teaching. Now at student level, at a personal level, what you can do. See, the best part of experiential learning is that you don't need to wait for a college program or a formal structure to apply this in your life. You can just begin with what you have already. In every activities, what I've said, you keep a reflective journal in within you and ask yourself, whenever you go through a professional learning activity, was it work well for me? what was not, what was the wrong in it? Did I learn anything about it? Did I connected it with my skill set? So that's how you can really build on, or personally you can build on your life skills. And also the second aspect is one of the powerful and richest form of experiential learning activities. Please go for volunteering. Learn from what you really like, or learn from what you really wanted to explore, because rather than graduating and going and doing a job and learn from it, before that get an experience whether this is applicable for me, this is okay for me. Because I still remember my specialization is community development. With the first two fieldwork itself, I understood that I am not a person who can deal with people in one-to-one, because we had caseworks and group works in the second semester where I really struggle. See, you as audience, you can definitely understand from this much of a time that I am not a person who scared to talk. But when it comes to a one-to-one level, I was so scared to talk or to lead, because my interpersonal communications are not designed in such manner. So that reflection, I was from zoology background, I opted medical and psychology, but then I realized that okay, now I think I have to change my thinking, and I opted community development. So what I tell you is that, you know, internship and volunteerings are richest opportunities of experiential learning, where you really can build on you, not in the professional level but also in the personal level. And also, rather than assisting or, you know, doing something, create something that by your own. Find a need and create something that by your own. Start a podcast, or start something innovative, or even a small research project. Every questions that comes to your mind should translate as innovative things, which will be acknowledged later in the life. Because why I'm telling you all these things, because employers really value the graduates with engaged experiences. Nowadays it is LinkedIn. You upload whatever things happening in your life in the LinkedIn. Why? Because you are convincing the employer that I have these experiences. So employers are really looking forward. What is, definitely they look to your marks, but definitely they'll also look into how courageous you are to get flooded with these experiences. So they see students as more adaptable, skilled, and who can take challenges. And every small step that you take today, to my students that who are listening me, I really wanted to tell that every small steps that you take today builds your employability for tomorrow. So please make note on that. Can we go to the next slide? And I don't know whether any parents or have joined the session, but this is just a note of things to the parents and teachers that, you know, support, you know, experiential learning. Because many a times we say, like, why do you go for the activity? Why you are always not studying in the room, and why you are always going outside? So listen their experiences and observe them without any judgments, and also give them spaces to try, fail, and try again. Many a times children come and says that I don't like this profession, I don't like this thing, but I'm hesitant to change it because my parents or says that this is a very comfortable thing. But let them try, fail, and, you know, evolve themselves. So in my objectives, so that's the whole about the experiential learning that I wanted to communicate to you. So in the objective, I have said about learner-centered education also. Can you please move on to, so I'll just brush upon because it's another area of concern. So I mentioned it in the objective because why I mentioned is that as I said, it's a very central to students. So it comes under the umbrella or feature of a learner centered education. So a learner centered environment is actually something that is intentionally designed. So this is something other, if you don't want to take it, please don't take it. I'm just telling this because it has connection with experiential learning and I mentioned it in the objective. That's why I just giving this idea. This is designed to create experiences for the learner where intentionally we design it for student, where students are at the center to know who they are, to thrive in the community and actively engage. So this is like, everything is similar, but there is an angle shift that, it will be centered around the students' individual needs and interest and experience, where in other aspect we give emphasis to reflection, experiences and all. So this learner centered education is a feature of experiential learning activity. I'm just giving a glimpse about this area, but as we come to the, so that's all about my session. As we come to the end of the session, I just wanted to leave you with this one thought, that education or learning doesn't end within your classrooms. So it's a lifelong process. So in this world, what truly matters is not what you know, it's how you use it, how you can adapt, create and make a difference in the world, because the world needs global leaders. The world needs leaders that can be local, national or global, but then the world need people who can make changes. So experiential learning is that opportunity that gives you that edge, and it helps to discover your passion. It will helps you to build your skill sets personally and professionally, and and finally I just want to tell you that it will really help you to shape the person you want to become. So that is the very important aspect of experiential learning. So don't just collect your experiences, reflect, always reflect, connect them with your goals and learn, and that goals or that reflection will help you to transform yourself. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much for being part of this session. Yeah, these are the references that I have taken. It's
So, if you have any questions or clarification, you can ask them now.
So this is also an experiential learning activity. We can consider this as a virtual experiential learning activity. Please take what I said, and I am also someone who is learning, who is reflecting, continuously reflecting, because I was a rote learner in the earlier time. I used to rote learn a lot, but later in life I could able to understand that what is the point in getting marks. I was quite a good learner in terms of marks, but then when I actually went to the field, I was critically looking upon my weaknesses, and this triggered me to pursue my education in this area. And that's why I spoke, because I was very much, as I mentioned you, I was very much hesitant and I had very mixed feelings. If I talk about this, how you will take it and all, because there is nothing much to offer, like this package, that package, nothing. This just a attitudinal shift that we want through this
Hello,
session.
ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes.
Ma'am, I have a question that in what ways does the activity-based learning refine the role of
What?
education in a classroom?
Can you please?
What way? Hello?
Yes, Aaron, tell me.
In what ways does the activity-based learning refine the role of educators in the
Role of
classroom?
educator.
Yeah.
So as I have already mentioned you, see, activity based learning is not always experiential learning. The first thing, the educator will be a mentor or leadership or a guide at the entire level. If it is a activity based learning, that should knowledge or that should clearly instructional based, then that priority that we give to the activity. Of the teacher. I hope I am clear.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, can you share any case study experience on basis of that?
Mentioned you, like, I've been part of an innovative experiential pedagogy where we had applied in the student level. So we told them to, I'll just break the silence and I'll just tell what it is. We told them to take pictures. That was an activity that we given to you. Go first, we gave them a lecturing or a theory on the observation, and then we gave them enough understanding about what are the different types of observation, and we told them to go to the class or go to the field and have an observational walk. Now they came back and they reflected on what were the learning activity. So please look into the steps. We gave them lectures on observation, and we led them to the field. And when they came after that, we gave them a very 10 minutes period of time. They came back and many of the students said, ma'am, we didn't see anything. We didn't see anything. Now, then we took a class on different perspectives of looking at the experiences. So you might be so something that has power imbalances. So that is oppressive lens, anti-oppressive lens. We gave a lecture on that. And after that, we gave them an idea about the experiential learning program that we have designed for the next day. Aaron, are you connecting with me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. We gave them a kind of lecture on how to look at things in a different perspectives, and we let them go through the experiences from 12, a 12-hour block in the next day. Now we serve them with the guided reflection on the third day. What innovative pedagogy what we have approached is that we told them to capture a moment that struck your heart. So they captured it, they presented it, and there were so many meaningful outcomes that came up from the students. Let's take this entire learning activity, as you have said, the learning activity. I have taken different roles, right, as a teacher. Different role. Sometimes I was a passive observer. Sometimes I took a lead to give or deliver lecture to the students. And sometimes I was really sitting and reflecting on their experiences and guiding them to reflect in such a manner that they will connect the theory with the real world experience. So this is what the experiences of me personally, that based on the objective of every session, the teacher should flexible enough to adopt or adapt to the changing environment. I hope I am clear. Is there any further explanations?
No, ma'am. I got it.
Yeah, you got it.
Somehow connected it somewhere, somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, I think we are done. So, on behalf of UpGrow Life Skill Learning Center, I extend my sincere gratitude to everyone who joined us today, and a special thanks to our guest speaker, Ms. Rajeemol T.R, for sharing such valuable insights and inspiring us on taking how to take the actionable steps towards empowerment and growth. And we hope this session was truly meaningful and enlightening to all. So, thank you all for joining us. and participants who wish to certificates can contact on the number we have provided in the group. So thank you all for joining this webinar today. Thank you.
Okay, let me take an opportunity to thank UpGrow, especially Sharath and Abia, for giving me the opportunity to talk about something that I am passionate about. And thank you for the listeners. At least, you people till the end, you heard me. So what I was communicating throughout the session is that this is an attitudinal shift. This is a change in your mindset. Please take a note of it and apply it in your personal level, be it as a teacher or a student or whoever it is. Please make sure that you apply it in your daily experiences. And thank you so much.